What if the most dangerous wide receiver in the NFL has been wasted? Not because he lost a step, but because he's been stuck catching passes from the wrong guy. Here's what nobody's talking about. Tyreek Hill's best seasons, his most electric, most terrifying, most unstoppable seasons, all happened with one thing in common. And once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. Because right now, there are two teams circling Tyreek Hill, and one of them might accidentally recreate the most dangerous offensive weapon combination the league has ever seen. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why where Tyreek lands isn't just a storyline. It's potentially the difference between a Super Bowl contender and another wasted year. Let's get into it. Look at Tyreek Hill's career numbers, and something jumps out immediately. With Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, Tyreek averaged over 87 yards per game. He was a top 3 receiver in the league basically every season they played together. 3 Super Bowl appearances, 1 ring. Then he goes to Miami. Tua Tagovailoa puts up decent numbers. Tyreek still flashes 1,700 yards in 2023, one of the best individual seasons ever. But the Dolphins went nowhere. No deep playoff runs. No real threat. Now the question everyone should be asking, is Tyreek Hill an elite receiver who makes quarterbacks better? Or is he an elite receiver who needs an elite quarterback to unlock his ceiling? Because the answer to that question determines everything about where he should go next. Here's something that should stop you cold. Every time Tyreek Hill has played alongside a quarterback who finished top 5 in MVP voting that same season, he's been an absolute problem. Unstoppable, game-breaking, defense-destroying. And it's not just volume. It's the type of plays, the over-the-top shots, the yards after catch, the explosive plays that change field position in a single second. But here's the weird part. Tyreek Hill is fast enough, good enough, and smart enough to produce with almost anyone. So why does the quarterback matter so much, for him specifically? Because Tyreek's game is built on space and timing. A quarterback who can manipulate a defense with their eyes, who can hold a safety just long enough, that's the difference between Tyreek getting a 5-yard cushion and Tyreek getting a 10-yard cushion. And at his speed, 10 yards of cushion is basically a guaranteed touchdown, which brings us to the two teams suddenly in play. New England. Yeah, I know. Hear me out. The Patriots are not rebuilding. They are trying to complete the pieces to win a Super Bowl, and they have something they haven't had in a long time: cap space, draft capital, and a fan base that is desperately hungry for something to get excited about. Drake Maye is coming off an MVP caliber second season, and if you watched him play, even through all the ups and downs, you saw a guy who can throw with anticipation, who has the arm strength to push the ball down the field, and who, most importantly, is exactly the kind of young, ascending quarterback that a receiver like Tyreek could both elevate and be elevated by. Most people don't realize this, but Tyreek Hill in year 1 with Mahomes wasn't immediately a superstar pairing. It built, it grew, the timing developed, the trust developed. Drake Maye at 22 years old, paired with Tyreek Hill at 31, isn't a retirement gift. It could be the foundation of something. But here's where it gets complicated. Baltimore is not rebuilding. Baltimore is reloading. Lamar Jackson won his second MVP a couple years ago. He has arguably the most unique skill set at quarterback in NFL history. And the Ravens, for all their success, have never had a true downfield speed threat that could stretch a defense vertically, the way Tyreek Hill does. Think about what defenses do against Lamar Jackson right now. They load the box. They bracket Zay Flowers. They dare Baltimore to beat them over the top consistently. What happens when Tyreek Hill is running vertical routes on the outside? That's not a question. That's a nightmare scenario for every defensive coordinator in the NFC and AFC. Lamar plus Tyreek isn't just addition, it's multiplication, because Lamar's running threat forces defenders to compress, and Tyreek's speed forces them to expand. You literally cannot do both at the same time. And that's when things got strange, because multiple reports have already surfaced connecting the Ravens to Tyreek Hill in trade conversations. This isn't speculation. Something is actually happening here. Now, here's the part that most people are glossing over. Tyreek Hill has been very public about one thing. He wants to win. The Miami experience, for all its highlights, left him frustrated. He's watched former teammates hoist trophies. He knows his window isn't infinite. So the question becomes, does he chase the bigger role, the bigger spotlight, the Patriots, where he might be the guy and help complete a championship caliber roster? Or does he chase the ring, the defense-breaking pairing, the MVP quarterback in Baltimore who could make him a champion again? Because those two paths lead to completely different outcomes. And they say a lot about where Tyreek Hill is mentally right now. Let me just say it plainly. If Tyreek Hill lands in Baltimore, the Ravens immediately become the most dangerous offense in the AFC. Not one of them. The most dangerous, full stop. Lamar Jackson with a true speed threat changes every single thing about how you defend that team. The run game opens up even more. The play action becomes more lethal. And Lamar, who already has an MVP caliber arm that gets criminally underrated, suddenly has a weapon that nobody in the league can match up against, without sacrificing something else. New England is intriguing. Drake Maye is real. But asking Tyreek Hill to be patient through building chemistry at this stage of his career? That's a big ask. The Ravens deal makes sense now. The Patriots deal makes sense in theory. Here's the thing nobody is saying out loud. If Tyreek Hill goes to Baltimore, he doesn't just help the Ravens. He validates something. He confirms that the formula for unlocking Tyreek Hill was never about Tyreek. It was always about the quarterback, Mahomes, now potentially Lamar, 2 MVPs, one common denominator. And if that's true, if the pattern is real, then Tyreek Hill chasing Lamar Jackson isn't desperation. It's the smartest football decision he could possibly make. So let me ask you this. Where do you think Tyreek Hill ends up? And does it actually move the needle for that team's Super Bowl chances? Drop it in the comments. I want to see where everyone's at on this. At the end of the day, Tyreek Hill at his best has always been about more than speed. It's been about pairing the right weapon with the right trigger man. And if he finds that again, the rest of the league better hope he picks wrong.